A construct map is a visual representation of a construct definition. So what it does is it expands our already powerful substantive definition into a really coherent and encompassing idea and a that allows us to represent our construct not only visually but also allows us to connect it to people and item responses. So the general idea behind a construct map is that we sort the construct from a high. We say we have our high on our construct X versus low on whatever our construct X is. And underlying for now, we're assuming that the construct we're interested in has some ordering to it. You can be low and you can be medium, high. There's an order to them. You don't technically have to have this, but for now, in how the construct map was originally invented and described, it was on this latent continuum. And the two major aspects of the construct map are the respondents and the item responses. And so for the respondents, you can really think about it in this straightforward kind of qualitative sense of, well, respondents who are, say, on this upper end of the scale, up here, respondents are high on X, share some characteristic. Some characteristic. And so that's the idea behind the construct map is, well, these are the people that are high. Well, then we have individuals that are low. Respondents low on X. And so we can qualitatively describe what those individuals are like, giving us a expanded definition, not only of what is a general definition of our construct X, but, well, what are the individuals that are low on that construct? How would we describe them? We can do the same thing for those that are high, and the same thing in the middle. You can do that for as many levels of granularity as you can defend. Then the next major piece is the items. So you would be like response A on item 1 indicates high X. Response B on item 2 indicates low X. You can do the same idea with the respondents, where you describe the construct in terms of high versus low for each item, and if you have enough information and enough granularity, for each item response. Because sometimes you can think about this continuum of high versus low for every single item, and that's one of the really important characteristics of a construct map, is allowing you to give this expansive definition of your construct, not only generally in terms of X, but in terms of individuals and respondents and how they respond to items for individuals that have high, low, medium, medium low, medium high, and as many levels of granularity as you can defend and as your theory dictates. So that's really what I want to emphasize on today's kind of reintroduction to construct maps in just a little bit more detail, is that we really can think about the number of locations on X. We really want to think about it in terms of how can we locate people and items on X. That's the really important part, location. What part does this characteristic represent on our construct? That expands our definition, really broadens our understanding of what we are trying to measure from a very theoretical standpoint, allows us a very broad way of defining what our construct is. And items, another important characteristic I want to emphasize today is that item locations on a construct map may not be the item low locations in IRT. That's an important thing I want to emphasize about the item locations and item responses, is that it's not necessarily the same location that we would get when we estimate a measurement model. These are our representative, our qualitative understanding of individual differences on a construct based on item responses. And so that's the major part about the items. To just go back, is that just because we can qualitatively describe that this is what we believe a priori of what a type of response represents, that doesn't necessarily mean that the empirical location would line up, say, in this place, depending on how the model is estimated. And that's kind of the important part of kind of starting to rethink about a construct map in these kind of two major aspects from a very general and qualitative sense of how do we describe respondents and how do we describe item responses across people that have differences in our construct. And as we'll see through different examples throughout this week, is that individual differences in our construct might be better described and better represented by respondents or by the item responses. One or the other might be more appropriate for a given construct. And that is one of the useful parts of developing a construct map and going through a process of laying out what do we think about what these scores represent, because it helps us flesh out maybe some aspects of our construct we didn't necessarily consider when we were just writing the item stems and just writing our general definitions. And that's what I want to end on today, is thinking about, well, moving past our construct definition into a really expansive construct mapping process where there is back and forth between individuals thinking about, or different researchers thinking about, how do we develop a definition that's very expansive in terms of the people, the items, and the differences on the scores that we want to represent. Thank you.